This is a quick hit video. In these videos, I'll provide my impressions, experiences, and observations of a product, all in about 5 minutes. This is not a substitute for the full review, but ongoing updates until the full review is done, or supplemental updates to reviews previously completed. There are plenty of companies that charge an arm and a leg for portable Dacs. Out of all the Dacs I have and get a chance to review, there are two that I constantly go back to. I've had a minimum of 2,000 hours of music playback on my Zerta ITM03 and Lotoo PAW S1. Through all the new hyped alternatives and the noise from both the uber subjectivists and uber objectivists, these two Dacs have outshined all the rest. For me. I already reviewed both the Zerta and the S1 years ago, and I still continue to use them more regularly than all the other portable Dacs I have. And for two different reasons. The Zerta is a simple plug-and-play no-frills device, but it has something that no other portable amp DAC does, at least none that I'm aware of. The Zerta has an optical out, in case you want it. The Zerta powers all of my IEMs and most of my headphones. It's small enough to pocket, does not have sharp edges so it won't scratch my phone, and I've never had a single connectivity problem with any of my devices with the Zerta. The PAW S1 is a beast. It's the poster child for what a premium portable DAC should be. It's powerful, portable, rugged, and it's got over a dozen baked-in EQ options. Oh, and it has balanced and single-ended output. Some people might complain that the S1 does not have MQA support, but I'm not one of them. The Zerta is always within reach on my desk. It is my go-to DAC at home when on my laptop. Not the TR amp, not the Cobalt, not the Dragonfly Red. There's nothing sonically wrong with these alternatives, but they're bulky and I really don't want to use adapters if I don't have to. The PAW S1 is the portable DAC I use when I'm traveling. When I'm hiking, I want a bit of bass thump to get me over the next hill. And sometimes when I'm sitting on the beach watching the waves or my dogs running around, I want to listen with a preset that pushes vocals over instruments. Hardcore subjectivists keep complaining that every DAC sounds different. Sorry to break it to you again, but that's simply not true. No amount of stomping feet, cussing, or insults will change that fact. So, when I look for a portable DAC, I'm not looking to buy a product so that I'm blown away by sound that I've never heard before. Instead, I'm looking for features. Why, for example, should I spend my money on this instead of a cheaper alternative? Every year a new DAC jumps into the market, and the vast majority of the time we get, maybe, a newer DAC chipset or screenshots of meaningless measurements of THD and SNR. Or the newest fad, shoving dual DACs into an enclosure. Both the S1 and Zerta sound perfectly good. Both are transparent or neutral. Could they be improved? Well, maybe. I mean, the Zerta might benefit from a detachable cable. Wear and tear is bound to cause damage to cables, and that's really where the Zerta has its biggest failure, probably. As for the S1, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with what it does and how it does it. I suppose the only minor complaint is that I wish it had a bit more power. Since the S1 is so capable as it is, I'd love to use it with my more demanding headphones. The PAW S2 has a bit more power than the S1, but in the long run, the price difference between the two is $120. The S1 is $150 if you can still find it, and the S2 is $270. I cannot justify the cost differential. An alternative to the Zerta is, well, another Zerta, or a cheaper version. Last year I reviewed the Zerta ITM01, which is $60. That device has 3 EQ presets, a bulkier design, and physical controls that the more expensive ITM03 does not have. So why don't I use the ITM01? Well, I borrowed it for the review, and I'm not inclined to spend another $60 when I already have the PAW S1. But if I didn't have the ITM03 or the S1, and I wanted a portable DAC with some EQ presets, and it was under $100, well, come on, the ITM01 would be my choice, I think. None of this means that you should go out and buy any of these things. You don't have to. If you're happy with what you've got, whether that's a high-priced bespoke DAC or the headphone jack on your laptop, what really matters is that you're not wasting more money. I use both the Zerta and S1 regularly when doing product comparisons. If you actually watch those portions of my reviews, then you've heard me mention these two devices over and over again. The simple reason is because these are my benchmarks. They do their jobs and do them well. Ultimately, I think it's important to keep coming back to these types of devices to check up on how they're doing. It's so common for reviewers to claim they've just come across the end-all be-all DAC, and a few months later say something else is endgame. So, if you read or heard somewhere a few years ago that the S1 or Zerta were amazing, well, they still are. They're still great. Don't feel pressure to plonk down more cash for the newest fad. The older stuff is just as good.